Hi, Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. Let's do a feminine check-in. Let's see where we're at. Spirit, what do we need to know about feminines? What are they confronting? What are the blocks? Okay, so we have influence here. Anything else, Spirit? Anything else? Deep breaths, everyone. We have patterns in reverse. And we have absence. Okay. Let me just see what's in the unconscious. What are we working with? What are we pushing into the shadows right now? Reaction. So feminines, many of you have worked incredibly hard to take control over your reactive nature, right? To call your spirit back from places it doesn't belong and to take up enough space to go at your own pace so that you can access your own discernment. Creating that space allows intuition to come forward, right? Sorry, hold on. Right, so a lot of this journey is us learning how to pause any sort of reaction that shows up in our body, mind, spirit, and take up enough time so that we can respond rather than react, right? So let me just honor how incredible you're doing, feminines, at taking accountability for your own impulses. However, there's something here, I want to say this delicately. It's one thing to be sovereign and in command of your spirit. It's another thing to suppress your truth. So some of you may have been working so hard to try and control your responses to things that you've actually suppressed your own true feelings. So feminines, you are being called to illuminate this pattern, illuminate this part of self to, I'm trying to find a kinder way to say this, but it's like the analogy I'm getting is like, it's really easy to look rich, right? It's really easy. There, especially if you're in the United States, there's so many ways to look like you have a lot of money or like you have, I don't know, designer clothes, or I don't know. I'm just using this example. It's another whole process. It's another whole approach to actually build wealth and to actually have, whatever rich is to you. I'm just using this kind of deliberate example, right? Like, it's really easy to look rich. It's a total other process and requires a whole nother set of skills to actually have a certain amount of money in the bank or to build generational wealth for your family or to build a legacy. Whatever it is, I'm trying to make a point here. The point is, feminines, you might look like you are put together on the outside emotionally and with your own free will, and you might look like you have total control of yourself from the outside as an outsider. However, it's a very different thing to actually allow your truth to come up to the surface, even if that's just to yourself. You're being called to no longer deny these parts of yourself and to, do you hear how hard this is for me to get out? I hope the point is coming across, but it is a little difficult. It feels very choppy in the energy. So feminines, you're being called not to abandon or betray any parts of self just to appear a certain way. So I'm going to leave it there. This is just the overall core message, but that's not a small one. Okay. I'm wondering if I should, nah, we're going to keep moving on. Okay. Let's look at these actual cards. We have absence, influence, and patterns in reverse. Okay. So feminines, just be mindful Like, let's just underline influence for a moment. Just start to become aware of your surroundings, of your environment. Where might you be influenced by people, places, and things that are around you? Are you being influenced by the people at work, by your boss, by the amount of money in your bank account, or the lack of money in your bank account? Are you being influenced by the absence of a person in your life, or are you being influenced by an absence from a long time ago? They're giving me the a father narrative. Okay, so this is kind of loaded. So, as always, on this path of illumination, we are learning how to individuate from our life circumstances, whatever they may be. And this is not a time to compare and contrast your life circumstances with someone else's. That is not your karma. That is not your soul contract, right? You signed up for a very specific set of lessons here in Earth School, and this is not a time to compare. If you catch yourself in that cycle of comparison and have-nots and keeping score and, all that kind of denser energies, it's actually going to pull you away from your own path, from what you get to become accountable for. Okay, let's move on. Where do we want to go? Okay. Deep breaths. This is already kind of a denser energy. And you know what? It's not surprising because we just had the peak full moon yesterday and we're still in the full moon portal. So there's many opportunities, feminines, in the next week or so for you to become aware of certain things and let go, right? To release certain things that you've remained attached to, even if those attachments are egoic, right? Are you very consumed with what you look like or what you appear to be? There's something here about making sure that, this is such an obvious example, and it's funny that I didn't think of this first, but when you think of influencers, especially on social media, this whole term of an influencer, it didn't really exist pre-social media the way it exists now. And now it takes kind of very little, and I don't want to criticize anyone out there because I'm essentially a version of an influencer. But let me say it like this. There are many people out there who are really big influencers that maybe don't have the best intentions, that maybe don't have a strong clarity and conviction of some sort of mission and purpose, that are flying by the seat of their pants and maybe sharing things and influencing things that perpetuate denser things that we're trying to overcome, right? Physical insecurities, emotional insecurities, earthly insecurities. And so you're being called, feminines, to just take accountability to where you are participating in this sort of kind of a more shallow cycle. That's it. That's all I'll say about that. And I'm not here to criticize anyone who's trying to make a living online or anything like that. I'm doing the same thing. So I'm in that group as well. But I am calling us all to a higher sovereignty, to a higher accountability. Do we look at this? Yeah, I am. Solitude. Okay, yeah. So it was funny that it came out as I was saying it. This might be a time to allow yourself to be the lone wolf, to be the black sheep, to allow yourself to think in ways where that go against how your group thinks, your group of friends, your group of coworkers, your fellow peers, whatever that is. You may be being called to allow yourself to step into this kind of solitary. Listen, okay, here's a clear message. This soul mission, this earth experience that you have chosen to incarnate and be here, this experience is unique to you. So it's pretty silly that we all try to become like one another, or to, follow the trendy thing, or wear the trendy thing, or say the trendy thing, or have the trendy belief that's circulating. It doesn't really logistically make any sense, because you have a certain unique DNA soul blueprint that is only for you. And you only have a specific prescription for the issues, blocks, fears that only you have. So my point is, feminines, it's time to look inward and upward instead of outward into the world. You're being called to look inward and to look up to the quantum field and really trust in that divine relationship. I don't know why I'm shuffling so much, but clearly it is what it is. Okay, let's see where we go. What do we need to know about feminines? What do we need to know about feminine collective right now? What are we confronting? What are the blocks? What would support them? What do we have? Universe. Yeah. Yes, I'm not even going to say it again. Just that you're being called to understand the truth of your place in this greater cosmos, in this greater quantum field. Really drop into that. Allow that massive, profound nature to humble you, to humble your existence, and have gratitude that we get to be a part of this grand thing. Another message coming through here. Allow the quantum field to be your supreme influencer. And that could be God, that could be, the universe, whatever feels in alignment and resonant for you. Another message for this is really specific. Some of you, your God is nature, your temple is nature, and you're being called to nature to worship. I don't know what that means for you individually, but it's a really specific message. If you look at this beautiful card in the center here, she's holding a dove, and there's all this illumination around her. Quite literally, the dove, which is, a symbol of what? Unity, peace, purity. The dove is almost illuminating her face. There's something about turning towards this type of sun, making nature your sun. Okay. We have recognition and reward. Anything else, Spirit? Anything else? All right, hold on. We're getting crazy now. Yeah, okay. Feminines, you're being called to deploy patience right now. Now, you've been working really hard. You've heard me say this many, many times, that the feminine energy, because we quite literally, the feminine energy births new souls here on the planet. Literally, the feminine energy is the vessel to which these souls travel. We are the portal to this wisdom, right? We have literally wisdom moving through our bodies, creating new life, birthing it out into the world. We hold the wisdom the longest because we're exposed to it. I don't know if this is fully true, but this message keeps moving through me, and my human, excuse me, my throat just crapped out. Excuse me. My human self doesn't want to believe that, it wants to believe feminine and masculine energies are equal and blah, blah, blah. And that's my monkey mind intervening in this divine message. However, when we recall that we all have feminine and masculine energies, it soothes that monkey mind that so easily wants to, sink back into duality. But we are operating from a quantum perspective. We are operating from oneness. We are operating from non-duality. Okay, so feminines, you're being called to have patience while all of the puzzle pieces start to come into place. You will receive recognition and reward, but it's not going to arrive how you think it's going to arrive. We have to look at the divine through a paradoxical lens. What is big is really small. What is small is really big. So if you're so consumed with influencers or needing some sort of mentor or influencer to look up to, look towards the stars, look towards the quantum field, the cosmos. That is where you will find the true recognition and reward that is deeply soul fulfilling, not like a pat on the back, not an amount of money in your bank account. It's not going to look like an earthly, let me say this, it might not look like an earthly recognition or reward in the conventional sense. In the unconscious, we have love begins, but it's in the shadow position. Okay, so a false shadow position, let me just leave it right here. For me, it's like, again, it's something is not going to look like what you think it's going to look like. Or something that you think is big and scary is actually not a problem at all. There's something that you've been pushing into the shadows for fear over, and it says love begins. So there's something around coming into union that you're pushing away. Maybe you're scared of what this might look like, but really that's not the fear. That's not your work. There's something, you're being called to really refocus your intention. Like, here's the thing. If we're in fear, we're not in love. It's just that simple. If we are in fear and separation, we are not in union and in love. We are not in connection. We are not in this kind of like oneness energy. So feminines, if you catch yourself, having moments where fear peaks up, if some of you, like, mind you, let's just remember the umbrella under which we're operating. This is a twin flame reading. So let's get really literal for a moment, because I know many of us are literally living this divine cycle out in the 3D world. So if you have been in separation with who you perceive to be your twin flame, or just a twin flame dynamic for either ever or for a very long time, it's understandable that some fear might arise at the thought of this coming into fruition, into 3D reality. So you're being called to, each time that fear rises, to sort of nuke it, to find your if you think of a fear as like a flame, what is your type of extinguisher that works for you? You're being called to really figure out what that thing is for you, because I'm here to tell you, like, the fear is going to show up. It's going to show up in one way or another. And even I was just talking about this with one of my twin flame friends. And I said to him, and now it's going out of my head, of course, now that it's completely gone. It completely left my head, so maybe I wasn't supposed to say it. Let's just keep going and see what else comes out. Let's keep going. Where do we want to go? Let's get some of these question cards. Whew. Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot of density, feminines. Okay, anything for feminines? What do we need to know? What do we need to know? We have, am I receiving peace? Soothe. The river, and it was in reverse, but I don't normally take these as reversals. This is a very interesting question. Am I receiving peace? So this is a very interesting question, because when you think of the question, am I receiving peace? It almost implies that there's someone else that has to give it to us. When really, when we're operating in the quantum field and in total connection, in oneness, there is no other. Right? That's a false perception that there is an other. So I laugh at the question, because am I receiving peace is really, am I receiving the peace that I am gifting to myself? Am I receiving the peace that I am worthy of? Am I receiving the peace that I deserve, that deserve is a tricky word, but that I am open, ready, and willing to participate in. So feminines, you're being called to take greater accountability for your energetic piece. What energy are you putting back out in the world? You are a divine receptor. You're constantly receiving messages. Now, what do you get to be responsible for putting energy out? I feel like I'm struggling with my words today. I wonder what that's about. Yeah, like, I'm sorry, I'm not done. So the other thing too is like, go about your day. And if you have a moment that you become cognizant of and you're like, you know what, I'm not in peace right now. This doesn't feel peaceful. I'm not operating out of peace. Now, you can have your emotions about it in that moment, and maybe there's an abrasive situation, external situation that's, taking your peace, but we let it, right? No one makes us feel anything. We allow ourselves to have that feeling. So where can you call your attention, awareness, and energy back to? Where can you take greater accountability for the energy that you're emitting out in the world? Anything else for feminines? Anything else? We have stock card, Mountain Lion. Is my pursuit both honorable and focused? This goes back to what we were talking about with the influencers and how there's some influencers. I'm being very generous and like tiptoeing around this, but there's a lot of people that are not honorable and do not have a intention to how they show up in the world, or rather their intention might be very self-focused, and that's fine, but that's not what we're doing here on the planet. We are learning how to live in oneness, and our greatest gift we can give to the world is that of service, right? And that includes yourself. So it's not about, self-sacrifice. It's none of that. It's not about abandoning your own needs and desires and all the things. It's about, can you, again, take greater accountability? You're going to hear me say the same things over and over again, because all of the work leads back to the same, 10, 20 pillars of stuff humans confront in their psyche. It's colored different. It has different textures, but there are these core pieces of, worthiness, rejection, abandonment, feelings of not enoughness. We continue to circle back around these things, and really the core relationship we have to work on is the one we have with ourselves. So feminines, are you an honorable feminine? What does that even mean? What does an honorable feminine look like? That's a great journal question. Put it at the top of your notebook. What does an honorable feminine look like to me? What does an honorable feminine sound like? How do they speak? What kinds of words do they say? How do they dress? How do they show up in a meeting? How do they show up on the phone with a loved one who is struggling? These are really beautiful questions that you can start to use to fill in to color this idea of an honorable feminine. And then the next part of this question is my pursuit both honorable and focused. Do I have a focus? Feminine energy is really profoundly wild and can be very destructive, right? If not focused, and if we don't have clarity and intention, energy starts to just go everywhere. And I'm not saying it's always a bad thing. Just think of water, for instance. Feminine energy is very much a flowy, whatever. Water has the power to, cut through a mountain. That is a very powerful energy, but water without a container, what happens? It just kind of leaks out everywhere, right? So, feminines, you're being called to evaluate your container. Do you have one? Are you focused? Do you have some sort of, and I don't want to get too 3D about this. I want to stay more in the emotional energy of it. I was about to say, do you have a mission, a purpose? And I don't mean that in a narrow sense. I don't mean a goal. Do you have a goal? I mean, what is your ethos for this life? What is the elevator pitch of your soul? That's a horrible way to say that. Ignore that one. But what is your grand mission that makes you come alive, that gets you out of bed in the morning, that reminds you of who you are and what you came here to do. Now, that's a big thing, and I wouldn't be saying this to feminines if the group I'm speaking for and to has not already done some of this work, right? Notice what's coming through me. I'm not telling you to go write a mission. I'm telling you to remember your mission. So the group I'm speaking to today already has these answers. Maybe another time I could do a reading for people that don't have these answers, but that's just not what's showing up. And then in the unconscious, okay. I just, sometimes I'm like, do I even need the cards? Because what literally my words come out in the cards. It says, what is always mine? Carry. So again, this is an accountability card. Any given moment in your life, feminines, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're having a professional experience or a personal one or an emotional one or an excited one, whatever is happening in your life at any given moment, you get to say, how can I be accountable for how I'm feeling and my own power in this moment? What am I willing to carry in this moment? See, this is the hard thing. Everyone talks about accountability, and everybody wants everyone to be accountable. But what it actually takes to become accountable, to step into that sort of self-responsibility, is a lot of work. And it's a lot of ego work, like taking accountability, especially for hard stuff and things that maybe don't shine the best light. Maybe it's very difficult to take accountability in front of other people when it doesn't paint us in the best light, when we screw up. Like, it's a hard thing, right? However, that is where the gold is, right? The treasure always exists in the cave we fear to seek. Okay, anything else for feminines? Where do we want to go? I want to get some of these angel cards. It just feels like we are getting there. Okay. All right, Spirit. Anything else for feminine? Okay. Gifts from God. Archangel Sandalphon. Sandalphon? I don't know how to say that. We angels bring you gifts from your Creator. Open your arms to receive. Now remember, there is no other, and God is included in that. So the gifts from God are the gifts from your inner Creator. When it says open your arms to receive, the way I'm feeling that in my heart and in my body is allow yourself to know that you are worthy enough to open your arms to receive. Know that you have two good arms, that you can open them at any given moment to receive a message, that you're allowed to ask for support. Not only are you allowed, but the universe is constantly in communication with you. So the universe's free will, because the universe has free will, exists in such a way where, because it is always communicating with us, it has already consented to this beautiful relationship with us. It is us who creates blocks to that communication, to that wisdom that constantly wants to flow through us. Okay, anything else? Counselor, Archangel Azrael. I feel like my mouth is not working today. Sorry about that. You are a natural counselor, and many people benefit from your guidance and reassurance, including self, feminines, including self. And then we have moon cycles, Archangel Haniel. Notice how the moon affects your energy and manifestations, and capitalize upon these cycles. Again, kind of reiterating that these gifts are always orbiting around you. The gift of, and like, let's be clear, there is an appropriate way to pray and to communicate with the divine, and there's an inappropriate way. God, give me a bunch of cool stuff that I want is probably not the best way, right? But God, help me become who I need to become to achieve, attain, or receive these certain things, right? When you can pray or manifest, whatever word you want to call it, in a way that where your sovereignty and your self-responsibility is at the core of that prayer, that's when the angels go to work. That's when God is like, all right, okay, I can work with this, right? Anything else for feminines? Whoa. What does this say? Nurture, Archangel Gabriel. As you nurture a child, you nurture your own inner child. Both activities are important for you right now. Whew. Okay, the message is spiraling back around about fatherhood from earlier. It's a little difficult message, but feminines, you are being called to heal this family parental relationship. You are being called to step into even greater individuation. How can you take radical accountability for your feelings, for your expression out in the world, for your understanding, for your empathy, for your compassion? How can you vibrate what you need to vibrate from your childhood? Honor all of the pain, honor all of the trauma, honor whatever you've been holding on to, and then it's time to let it go. At some point, we're right in the full moon portal. You are being called to put this work down because greater work is around the corner for you. There's so many gifts. You are so supported right now. And there are so many gifts that are waiting in the wings for you. They have your name on it. You're being called to let go of certain childhood pains, or rather, separate message for some of you that aren't ready to let go. Maybe for some of you, the first step is just allowing yourself to acknowledge that, yes, you did have pain. Some of us who, it's been coming a lot in the collective, this idea of a parentified child. Some of you may have had childhoods where you were forced to grow up too fast, where maybe the roles were reversed, where instead of your parents taking care of you, you found yourself in a position to have to take care of your parents, or of household duties, or of your siblings. Honor the pain of that. Honor how abandoned you must have felt, or how rejected you must have felt, or angry, right? You're allowed to be angry if you didn't have space to be a child, to be a kid, to have a childhood. You're allowed to be pissed off if you were forced to grow up too soon. Vibrate that density. I'm not telling you to abandon those feelings. I'm telling you to claim them. Allow the truth of your experience to bubble up and give that emotional energy movement. Allow it to move through your body. Either purge it through writing it down, go for a long walk or a run or work out, or like a pillow pound, or do a hand scream, or allow your body to fully tantrum. Allow this emotional density to take form in the 3D world in some way. By doing that, it helps you get it out of your physical body. Okay, and then finally we have peace, Archangel Shamuel. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. It's a loaded thing. And I could say it until I'm blue in the face that, yeah, we are love. We are loving awareness. That is the all, the I am, the grid of unconditional love and infinite oneness. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. So allow that. It's a beautiful quote, sure, but start taking that as actual, like a tool. I'm saying this incorrectly. Start using this phrase as a tool. This is a tool in your toolbox. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. So what can we infer from that statement? We can infer that if we are in fear or anything else that is not love, that it must not be real, and something else must be going on. So allow that idea, that remembering that only love is real, to become like a barometer for how you assess your emotional, mental, physical state of mind and your life. Okay, what am I feeling today? I'm feeling pissed off. Okay, that must be a false feeling. So what is actually going on? Where am I feeling the absence of love, and how can I take care of the part of me that is feeling that absence of love? How can I step into that divine parental role that gifts the love to that part of myself? Again, you are being called to individuate from your own parental situation and step into the role as become the parent that you never had, right? Become the parent and gift your inner child the things that you were never gifted. This is how we release ourselves from these attachments to our parents, to anger, to grief, to whatever dense emotion you might be having, and take greater accountability for ourselves, our experience, and our present moment. Beautiful. Let's get a divine feminine Buddha wisdom. I think we're going to end here. Anything else, Spirit? What would support these beautiful feminines? What would support them on their journey? Little wisdom for us, please. Okay, got a couple. We have purify the mind with wholesome thoughts, calmness arises. And then another mental card. This is interesting. I am not the mind, intellect, or body. I am not merit nor demerit. I am pure self. The synchronicities in this card is insane. I just said I am loving awareness. Now, if you've ever heard Ram Dass say this over and over again, it's like a mantra. You could probably Google it. There's this recording of him just saying, I am loving awareness over and over and over again. And it's, when you're a little kid and you say a word long enough, it starts to lose meaning. It's so funny because the opposite happens with this phrase, I am loving awareness. When you say it over and over again, you actually become the loving awareness. You start to drop all of the things that are blocking this love, all of the puny criticisms or human egoic things that start to show up and create barriers to connection, that create separation, that create fear, insecurity, not enoughness. Again, call your mind back, right? Wait, where is it? We're being called. Let me now end with this. We started this reading to remember that you are a sovereign being and you get to take radical accountability for your truth, your true reactions, your true vulnerability. If you're just pushing your truth into the shadows so that you can appear a certain way, you're not actually claiming your true sovereignty. You're not actually doing the work to get to the land of Oz, if you will. You're being called to, again, purify the mind with wholesome thoughts. Keep your body, mind, spirit pure. In that void of chaos, calmness has to arrive. There's no choice but for peace to show up in the void space. So again, I'm getting a separate message here. Wow, this reading just keeps going. The other message that's coming through here is that sometimes our human self, when shit is hitting the fan or something is going wrong, sometimes our human self goes into fixing mode, right? It's like, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to complete? What do I have to do to fix this? But sometimes the answer, or rather the fixing, arrives in non-action. Sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves is actually nothing, is no thing, is no action. And in that absence of action, right? Because listen, if you're in a chaotic state and you take action, you better believe that action is probably coded in a bit of chaos. However, if you're in a chaotic state and you take no action, and you allow that chaos to dissipate in whatever pace or rhythm it wants to, peace has no choice but to arrive. Beautiful, beautiful message. I'm going to leave it there. Feminines, I hope this was supportive, and I will lovingly see you in the next one.